So it has become clear to me that abusers steal your soul. The understanding that I've come to about the soul is that the soul is your mind, it's your will, it's your thoughts, your emotions. It's the way sort of the ineffable intersects with reality through your body. And this is why how you think is so important, and why who you spend your time with or what media you listen to and watch is so freaking important, because that influences how you think about the world, how you see the world, what kind of paradigms you're using to analyze things and then make decisions. And so, what abusers do is bit by bit, they convince you that your understanding of reality and the world is incorrect, and that you're wrong in some way, and that you should be doing what they say you should be doing, and that you should think the way that they say that you should think, and that you should feel the way they say you should feel. They don't want you to have autonomy over yourself. They'll they might put it in language that makes it sound like they're setting a boundary. But generally speaking, the boundary is for yourself, is for themselves. The boundary is not to control another person. The boundary is, oh, here's where I begin. Here's where I end. Here's where you begin. Here's where you end. We're all responsible for ourselves. We're responsible for our actions. We're responsible for the things that we do. So someone coming in who is not responsible for those things and then is then trying to make us be different is a person that's trying to override our autonomy, our autonomy over ourselves. And I've said it in another video, but essentially one way I like to look at it is, if I'm liable for it, I'm responsible for it, it's mine. Someone else doesn't get to come in and tell me what to do, even if they think that they're right. Now, in our society, we do have exceptions. So, for example, if you're a danger to yourself or others, right, then we'll override someone's autonomy. But we generally speaking would opt not to do that if we are healthy people with good understanding of appropriate boundaries. So, for example, if there are children involved, like a minor children that may be in danger, then you might override someone's autonomy if they're being unsafe for those children. But aside from sort of like those edge cases, if you are responsible for yourself, you get to decide what you do, because you are the person who has to handle the consequences of those decisions. Another person coming in to tell you that you're wrong and that you should do things differently is another person who's trying to make you be something that you're not. Now, over time, we may reevaluate. Oh, you know what? Maybe this wasn't my best option, and I should adjust in the future. And there are people that we allow close to us, that we allow to have influence. And so what abusers do is they take this very normal process and they hijack it. So they trick you into giving them the benefit of the doubt. They gain access to you so they can influence you, and they use that access to make you think that how you think, how you feel, and what you think reality is all wrong, and that you should only listen to them. You can't depend on yourself. Normal people are not interested in being any kind of controlling that way over another person, because for them it's going to be exhausting. It's not going to be a source of power, right? You're giving them a chore. You're not giving them a thing that is going to like empower them. So instead of feeling, empowered, they feel enervated and drained. A normal person is not going to want to micromanage somebody. That's extra work. They would rather you handle your thing, I'll handle my thing. Let's connect if we need to discuss, adjust, make corrections. But I don't want to be, I don't want to be on top of you. I don't want to make you. Anyway, so I think this is something the victims of abuse, they don't truly understand what they're giving up. They think they are doing a good relationship thing, making compromises. Only they're the only ones ever compromising. The abuser is the only one who is ever right. The victim's always wrong. And the victim has to placate the abuser. The abuser is the judge. The abuser is the jury. The abuser is the executioner. And the victim, the further in they get, the more confused they are. And then you get to a place where you're just so exhausted and you're reactive that you can't even think anymore because the abuser is so constantly on you in your space, taking up mental bandwidth, that you might otherwise use for thinking your own thoughts and deciding what you yourself are going to do instead of having the abuser be like the black hole center of your little universe. You should be at the center of your universe, not the abuser, not another person, because you are the person who's responsible for you. You are the person who's responsible for your actions. You can't go into a court of law and say, "Oh, Your Honor, I did this thing, but it's not my fault because I just did what this other person told me to do." You're responsible for you. Anyway, if you realize, "Oh, I've lost myself. I don't know how to think my own thoughts anymore," then it's important to understand that you have, in a sense, lost your soul. But you can get it back. The first step is going to be distance. If you can't get that physical distance, you can at least get that distance in your mind where you make it clear inside your mind, in yourself, that the abuser's thoughts are not your thoughts. That just because they're saying these things at you doesn't make it true. And then you start to build up these defenses from the inside. But really, this is why it's so important to be careful about who you let into your inner circle, who you let influence you. Reasonable people, if they thought that you're not, like, let's say, a compatible person, you don't share enough of a sense of reality that it is going to work in a relationship dynamic, whether that's a friend or parent, romantic partner, they're gonna step back. They're not just gonna try and come in and force you. The exception, of course, again, being like if there are minor children involved. So anyway, I hope this makes sense, and I'll talk to you next time.